Welcome to the 2021 Economic Depression and Preparation Channel. I'm your host, Tony. Thank you so much for joining me on this Monday, February 22nd, 2021. As we head into the last week in February and to the beginning of March, it seems that this economy is getting more and more seized up. Oh, how we longed for the good old days of small businesses open and walking along side by side with our friends, cohorts, and family without social distancing, without masks, and all over the nation, from LA to Chicago to New York to DC and down into Florida. Life as we know it, the economy as we know it, is over. It's been shattered. And so today I'm going to talk to you about two articles that I read today, and I'm going to share that with you in just a moment. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button to get the latest news from Preach to Me, and be sure to hit that bell notification because some people have not been notified when new videos are released, and I'll appreciate it very much. Okay, now let's get right into today's topics. Today, the U.S. economy is seizing up, and a lot of people are seeing prices rise in inflation. And inflation, hyperinflation, and inflation is a real concern, not just among investors, but among the general public. I don't know about you, but when I go to places like Sam's, Costco, BJ's, the gas station, my utility bills, it's creeping up by 5 to 10% every month since November, rather, after Thanksgiving. And a lot of the people in the markets have been saying this is not inflation, but we're seeing cost rise, and especially with this new disaster in Texas, with the winter storm and cutting out the power to people in the water supplies. We had over 14 million people without clean water in Texas, and the experts are saying that this is going to increase inflation. As a matter of fact, have you seen inflation on your mortgage prices? The mortgage, 30-year mortgage, was at an all-time low. That was just 2 months ago. Remember, it was at 2.87%. Now it has risen to just about almost 3.1% in the short span of 90 days. And this is not a good sign. The 10-year Treasury bonds have been rising. It's up to 1.3%. The Dow Jones is down today. NASDAQ is down 2% as tech shares get hit. But they know that stimulus is coming. They know the Federal Reserve is going to produce more stimulus. By the way, the House passed the stimulus bill, the $1.9 trillion bill. They passed the first part. On Friday, they'll vote again, and then it'll go to the Senate next week. So it looks like we can expect that stimulus check, the $1,400 stimulus check, to arrive sometime after mid-March, between March 14th to the 28th, somewhere around there. But this inflation is what's going to kill people right here, because look, global markets have rattled in the last 25 at the yield above 1.3, right? I mentioned that to you. And this is what you can see for yourself. The 30-year bond also hit its highest level in a year. Now, this inflation would have not been a problem had we not printed so much money and the more money that's coming into the system. So we have an additional $2 trillion coming into the system at the end of March, right? That marked the end of the first quarter. And so with unemployment very high, according to Squawk Box CNN, as we know, it's above 10%. This would be a sign that the inflation process has begun. But they say they see no indicator of that whatsoever. And they think that because the gas prices have been going up. I don't know if you guys know, but the average price of gas has gone up, according to AAA. It's around $2.45, $2.50 a gallon right now. Some places are already paying $2.80, $2.70 a gallon. I know in California it's already close to $2.90, almost $3 a gallon. We haven't even gotten into the summer blend yet, the summertime. So the Federal Reserve is committed to letting inflation run hot, okay? And that means that the CPI, the Consumer Price Index, can go as high as maybe 2.75 percentage points higher. That means that right now inflation, they say the official numbers anyway, say 2.1%. We can see inflation by high as 5%, not even counting the stimulus coming in by, let's say, May, the beginning of May. So this is an absolute going to be in the depression. In the news, they're painting it saying that the inflation will not persist. They're telling you that on NBC, CNBC, Fox News. But it will, because all of this money printing has yet to come through the system. This is the year that it's going to come through the system. So can you imagine seeing the housing collapse, the wages collapse, people's wages collapse, people's food, money supply, the window, and we have rising prices on goods and services? This is the perfect storm. And so the U.S. economy is set to speed up, indicating according to leading index signals. This is what MarketWatch.com put out. So everybody's putting a positive spin on this, but we know, as the people right here are showing us, save small businesses. Small businesses have been decimated. 60% of small businesses are not returning even after the PPP loans, because you remember those PPP loans have to be paid back. And a lot of businesses, they can't do it with restaurants and gyms only operating at 25% capacity. They can't make up the revenue shortfall to pay these loans back that they've taken out just to stay afloat. So all of these small business workers you see here, they're going to be absorbed by Amazon, Walmart, Target, Facebook, Google, you name it, the big 7 companies, Netflix, that have made up this stock market. And it's not just that we have to worry about. We have to worry about the vaccine, which you know is a slower rollout. So right now they're still getting healthcare workers inoculated, and by the time they get to regular people on the street, it could be another 2 years of dealing with this sickness pandemic. And so there goes the economy. There goes your economy. And this is why we say all the time on this channel, it's not when to get prepared. It's not if, it's when. It's when. And that's why you have to be prepared. Do you have the means, the food, the water, the medicine, the clothing, the protective gear, the security to survive on your own? Because the cavalry is not coming here. And we're going to see rising prices. So this is my prediction. We're going to see rising prices, inflation, and then we're going to go into deflation. But this massive deflation, just like the 1929 depression, won't happen until after the 4th quarter. So we're looking at the massive deflation when the bubbles actually pop. That's going to be sometime in late October, November, December, going into 2022. And that's when things are really going to get bad. And people realize, well, we're not out of this pandemic. Number 2, prices have been unsustainable in just every aspect, from the stock market to the housing market, to the credit market, and to everything else. And when they see all of these businesses that you see here in downtown and on these suburbs, when they see the businesses not coming back, then that's when people are going to know that we are in a depression, no matter how much money they print up, just like Venezuela, just like Weimar Republic, Germany, just like overseas what's happening right now in Europe and some of these towns over there in Germany and Spain and Greece and Turkey when they had the currency crisis. The same thing is going to happen over here. So it's just taking a little bit longer over here, because you have to remember the U.S. is a big economic machine. And so by the time the data and the numbers come out, it's going to be months in ahead. And remember, the news is always months behind what's actually happening on the streets, okay? We've been seeing prices rise now since November, since after Thanksgiving, but now they're just telling you that, oh, inflation's ticking up a little bit. No worries. Oh, yes, it is a worry, because that means that your dollar is buying you less and less goods. It doesn't matter how much you print up, you can't keep up. A $15 minimum wage is not going to help, And that's the question that I always tell people. How come they won't give us a $10,000 stimulus check? What about a $50,000 stimulus check? The reason why is because the United States is insolvent. They broke. We don't have any money. Cities, counties, states, townships, the federal government is insolvent. It's broke. They cannot do that. Otherwise, they would do that. They would just rain helicopter money into your account. $50,000, pay off the debts, because we can't pay the interest on a $28 trillion debt that we have nationally as a country. And so as a result, the only solution is to print money until the dollar completely loses all of its value. And then deflation happens, meaning that the housing, land, hard assets go down, but nobody has any money to buy it. So you'll be able to buy some of these street buildings here. You'll be able to get it for what, maybe $10,000, $15,000, and compared to $1 million or $2 million these buildings are supposedly worth. But nobody would have any money because there's a liquidity crisis in the banks. And remember, this all started with the banks. The liquidity crisis, and the Fed is pumping $100 trillion into the bank. Look at this. The $1.9 trillion COVID aid package advances in the House, as I told you, right? But you have to remember, this does not include, the $8 trillion we've already spent on the CARES Act, the money that we've given to other countries and aiding them, and this is not going to include any type of disaster relief that Texas needs. They just said today on the news, Texas and the disaster is going to be over $20 billion in insured losses between frozen water pipes, agriculture losses, just a whole number of losses. They're not including all of that. And so by 2020, 3, we're going to be in a full-blown depression. We're already there, but people are just going to see that things are not coming back. So stay prepared, continue to get prepared, continue to follow us and subscribe, and we'll keep you updated on what to do and how to be prepared to stay ahead of the game. Thank you very much for listening. Have a great afternoon, and try to do something, productive and fun today with your family and friends after work or after school, just to relax, and everything is going to be okay as long as we have God, faith on our side, and we have each other to rely on to help us to get through and have the skills that we need to get through this tough period, this next 10, 12 years that we're going to have to go through when it does come. Thank you very much.